नमस्कार सम्पूर्णमा आज चाहिँ हामी डिजाइन अफ स्ट्रक्चरबाट केही सिम्पल बेसिक क्वेशनहरु लिएर आएका छौं। क्वेशनहरु यस प्रकार छन्। WSM अथवा वर्किङ स्ट्रेस मेथड चाहिँ कुन चाहिँ थ्योरेटिकल प्रिन्सिपलमा बेस्ड छ? लिनियर इलास्टिक थ्योरी। Why is reinforcement steel added to plain cement concrete PCC to create RCC? PCC मा चाहिँ स्टील एड गरेर RCC किन बनाइन्छ? किनभने कंक्रीट चाहिँ कम्प्रेसनमा स्ट्रङ हुन्छ तर त्यसको टेन्साइल स्ट्रेन्थ चाहिँ एकदम नेग्लिजिबल हुन्छ त्यही भएर। What is the primary role of steel in an RCC member? RCC मा स्टील को प्राइमरी रोल भनेको चाहिँ टु रेजिस्ट टेन्साइल एन्ड शियर फोर्स। Who is credited with the initial development and use of RCC? Francois Coignet. What is the permissible stress in WSM design? Permissible stress भन्नाले के हो? A safety limit calculated by dividing ultimate strength or yield stress by a factor of safety भन्नाको यो चाहिँ रेशियो हो ultimate strength or yield stress by factor of safety को ratio. What is the factor of safety FAS for concrete in bending under WSM? Approximately 3. What is the factor of safety for concrete in direct compression under WSM? Approximately 4. Why factor of safety is higher for concrete than for steel in WSM? स्टील भन्दा कंक्रीटमा किन हायर हुन्छ? किनभने कंक्रीटको ब्रिटलनेस हुन्छ अनि त्यसपछि त्यसको भेरिएसन इन क्वालिटी धेरै हुन्छ कम्पेयर्ड टु फ्याक्ट्री मेड स्टील। What is the factor of safety for steel in WSM? Approximately 1.78. Which WSM assumption describes the deformation of a beam's cross section during bending? Plane sections remain plane before and after bending. Under WSM assumption, what material is assumed to carry all tensile stress? WSM मा चाहिँ कुन चाहिँ मटेरियलले सबै टेन्साइल स्ट्रेस लिन्छ भनेर अज्युम गरिन्छ भने स्टील रेन्फोर्समेन्ट concrete in the tension zone is ignored. What is the formula for modular ratio M? M भनेको ES by EC भनेको ratio of modulus of elasticity of steel to modulus of elasticity of concrete. According to IS 456, modulus of elasticity of concrete कसरी क्याल्कुलेट गरिन्छ? EC भनेको 5000 root under FCK. Which term describes the gradual permanent deformation of concrete under a sustained load? एउटा कुन त्यस्तो टर्म हो जसले चाहिँ पर्मानेन्ट ग्रेजुअल डिफर्मेसन भइरा हुन्छ नि कंक्रीटलाई अन्डर सस्टेन्ड लोड, त्यसलाई के भनिन्छ? त्यो भनेको चाहिँ क्रीप हो। ब्यालेन्स सेक्सनमा एक्चुअल डेप्थ XA र क्रिटिकल डेप्थ XC अफ द न्यूट्रल एक्सिस को रिलेशनशिप के हुन्छ? XA XC बराबर हुन्छ ब्यालेन्स सेक्सनमा चाहिँ। अन्डर रेन्फोर्स सेक्सन भन्नाले न्यूट्रल एक्सिस डेप्थ को टर्ममा चाहिँ कसरी डिफाइन गरिन्छ? अन्डर रेन्फोर्समेन्ट सेक्सनमा चाहिँ एक्चुअल डेप्थ इज लेस देन क्रिटिकल डेप्थ। Why is an under reinforced design preferred over an over reinforced design? किनभने it fails ductilely, providing warning through visible cracks and deflection before total collapse. अन्डर रेन्फोर्स डिजाइनले चाहिँ भिजिबल क्र्याकहरु देखाउँछ, पहिले वार्निङ दिएको हुन्छ। सो वी प्रिफर अन्डर रेन्फोर्स ओभर रेन्फोर्स सेक्सन। व्हाट टाइप अफ फेलियर अकर इन ओभर रेन्फोर्स सेक्सन? सडन ब्रिटल फेलियर अफ कंक्रीट विदाउट वार्निङ। अन्डर रेन्फोर्समा चाहिँ वार्निङ दिएको हुन्छ तर ओभर रेन्फोर्समा चाहिँ वार्निङ हुँदैन, सिधै ब्रिटल फेलियर हुन्छ। In the formula MR equals to QBD square, what does MR represent? MR भनेको moment of resistance. How much higher is the bone strength of deformed bar? Example, HYSD compared to plain bar. बोन स्ट्रेन्थ चाहिँ डिफर्म बारको कति हायर हुन्छ प्लेन बारसँग कम्पेयर गर्दाखेरि भनेपछि अप टु 60% हायर हुन्छ. What specific internal stress causes diagonal cracking in concrete beam? कुन चाहिँ इन्टरनल स्ट्रेसले गर्दाखेरि डायगोनल क्रैकिङ हुन्छ कङ्क्रिट बिममा भनेको डायगोनल टेन्सनले गर्दा. Two most common types of shear reinforcement are vertical stirrups and bent up bars. What is the maximum spacing for vertical stirrups in a beam? Effective depth, the lesser of 0.75D or 300 mm. Where is the shear force typically highest in a beam? Highest हुन्छ भने at the support अनि bending moment चाहिँ at the span बिचतिर mid of the span generally. What is nominal shear stress denoted as? Tau V. What action is required if the nominal shear stress exceeds the maximum design shear strength? Tau C max. Tau V चाहिँ tau C max लाई exceed गर्यो भने के गर्नुपर्छ? The section must be redesigned. कसरी भन्दाखेरि by increasing the size of the beam. What is bone strength in RCC? RCC मा bone strength भनेको के हो? एउटा grip or adhesion between the steel reinforcement and the surrounding concrete. Steel र concrete चाहिँ कति मजाले तिनीहरु बीचको bond कति राम्रो छ भन्ने भने bone strength हो. By what percentage is the permissible bone stress increased for bars in compression? Compression मा हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ कति पर्सेन्टले bone stress बढाइन्छ? 25%. What is development length? LD एकदम युज भइराख्ने टर्म. त्यो भनेको चाहिँ minimum length of bar which must be embedded in concrete to prevent slipping when stressed भनेको त्यो त्यति लेन्थ चाहिँ कङ्क्रिटमा एम्बेड गर्नुपर्छ त्यो बारको. What is the anchorage value of a standard U-shaped hook 180 degree? 16D or 16.5 भनेको the बारको diameter. For what bar diameter is lapping generally disallowed requiring welding strength? कुन चाहिँ बार डायमिटरलाई चाहिँ ल्यापिङ नगरिकन वेल्डिङ गर्नुपर्छ? 32 mm भन्दा ग्रेटर भयो भने बारको डायमिटर. What is a singly reinforced beam? A beam where main reinforcement is provided only in tension zone, compression zone मा चाहिँ हुँदैन. टेन्सन जोनमा मात्र हुन्छ reinforcement. For a simply supported beam span less than 10 mm, what is the basic L/D ratio for deflection control? 10 meter भन्दा सानो स्पान भएको simply supported beam को लागि चाहिँ L/D को रेशियो भनेको 20. For a cantilever beam, what is the basic L/D ratio for deflection control? Cantilever को लागि L/D भनेको 7. What is the minimum area of tension steel AST required in a beam? Minimum area of tension steel भनेको चाहिँ AST भनेको 0.85 BD by FY. What is the maximum limit for reinforcement in a beam as per IS 456? 4% of the gross cross-sectional area. When is skin reinforcement, side face reinforcement required in a beam? Side face reinforcement कति बेला चाहिन्छ भनेको when depth of beam exceeds 750 mm. What is the standard nominal cover for a beam under moderate exposure? Moderate exposure भएको बेला चाहिँ nominal cover for a beam कति हुनुपर्छ? 30 mm. What is the standard nominal cover for reinforcement in footing? Footing को nominal cover भनेको 50 mm. What constitutes a deep beam for a simply supported structure? An L/D ratio of less than 2. What is the unit weight of RCC used in estimations? Approximately 2500 kg per meter cube. What is primary design difference in W reinforcement beam? के चाहिँ डिफरेन्ट हुन्छ भने स्टिल चाहिँ टेन्सन र कम्प्रेसन दुईटै जोनमा प्रोभाइड गरेको हुन्छ. How is a one-way slab identified based on its dimension Ly versus Lx? One-way slab मा चाहिँ Ly by Lx को ratio greater than 2 हुन्छ. What is the minimum steel percentage for HYSG or TMT bar in slab? Slab मा minimum steel percentage भनेको 0.12% of the total cross sectional area. Torsion reinforcement को purpose के हो two way slab मा? To prevent cracking at corners that are prevented from lifting. Flat slabs भनेको के हो? Flat slabs भन्नाले चाहिँ slabs supported directly by column without the use of beam. Beam प्रयोग नगरिकन column ले मात्र support गरेको slab लाई चाहिँ flat slab भनिन्छ. What structural components are used in flat slabs to prevent punching shear? Punching shear prevent गर्न flat slab मा कुन चाहिँ structural component use गरिन्छ भने drop panel or column head. In a cantilever slab, where is the main tension reinforcement placed? ठ्याक्क simply supported र cantilever को चाहिँ उल्टो हुन्छ. Simply supported चाहिँ at the bottom side हुन्छ भने अनि cantilever मा चाहिँ at the top upper side of slab मा reinforcement provide गरिन्छ. What are the two main parts of a T-beam? T-beam को flange भनेको top horizontal part अनि बिचको भनेको चाहिँ wave अथवा rib part, bottom को vertical part. Slender race ratio मा based भएर define गर्दाखेरि short column भनेको के हो? जसको slender race ratio 3 देखि 12 को बीचमा हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ short column हो. What is the minimum eccentricity assumed for column design as per IS 456? 20 mm. Minimum number of longitudinal bar required in rectangular column भनेको 4, circular को 6. How much higher is the load capacity of a column with spiral reinforcement compared to lateral ties? Spiral reinforcement compared to lateral ties गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ कति गुना load capacity बढी हुन्छ? 5% higher. What is punching shear in context of footing? Footing मा punching shear भनेको a failure where the column attempts to push through the footing slab. What are the three main components of a cantilever retaining wall? Stem, toe and heel. What is the middle third rule for the stability of a wall base? Middle third rule भनेको चाहिँ mainly भनेको त्यो E चाहिँ less than or equal to B by 6. The resultant force must fall within the middle third of the base to ensure no tension. What are the standard factor of safety for a retaining wall against overturning and sliding? Overturning and sliding को against मा factor of safety भनेको 1.55 for overturning, 1.4 for sliding. What is the formula for calculating hoop tension? T in circular water tank. Circular water tank मा hoop tension T equals to WD square. What are the two primary categories of limit states in LSM? Limit state को दुईटा primary category भनेको limit state of collapse एउटा अनि अर्को limit state of serviceability. In LSM, what is the partial safety factor for concrete and steel strength? Concrete र steel को partial safety factor LSM मा 1.5 for concrete, 1.15 for steel. What is the fundamental concept of pre-stressed concrete? त्यो भनेको चाहिँ including internal compressive stress in concrete before external loads are applied. Pre-stressed concrete भन्नाले. What is the difference between pre-tensioning and post-tensioning? Pre-tensioning मा चाहिँ tendon are pulled before casting अनि post-tensioning मा चाहिँ they are pulled after the concrete hardens. What is the typical total loss of pre-stress in post-tensioning system? Post-tensioning system को typical total loss भनेको approximately 15%. Okay, this much for today. I hope you like the video. Tata, bye bye.